Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rindone Travel. I'm Ray. Today, we're going to be talking about 8 creative ways to use those hard-earned credit card points and miles. Let's get into an advanced topic to start, and I'm talking about the ANA Around the World itinerary. And that's exactly what it is. You have to go around the world. So you don't necessarily need to do this with ANA, the actual airline. You need to do it with the Star Alliance. Now, you can have up to 12 different flights with stopovers in each location. Now, let me give you an example route. This is just a small example and not the full 12 destination one. So you would start in New York, go to London, Dubai, Bangkok, Sydney, back to Los Angeles, and then exactly back to where you started, New York. Now, you won't be able to fly the same airline for every single route on this itinerary. That's nice about having the Star Alliance. You have 26 different airlines to choose from. And this itinerary is really great because if you think of a route from LA to Sydney, that starts at 85,000 Alaska miles, which is almost the entire around the world itinerary on ANA for 100,000 miles. Now, let's get into something a little bit easier. And these are called stopovers. And a lot of airline programs offer these. Airlines like Icelandic Air, Turkish, and Singapore Airlines offer free stopovers at their home destination. And what that means is you could fly from New York to Iceland, stay there for up to 7 days, and then continue on to another destination in Europe somewhere. All of these stopovers come with no additional charge. So a one-way flight on Icelandic Air from New York to somewhere in Europe starts at 27,500 points. And that's with a stopover included, so it sounds like a no-brainer to me. Let's get into number 3, and that's something I like to call destination hopping. Now, what exactly is that? It's when you use points and miles to pick up the expensive route, and then, in the country that you want to go to, you country hop on the cheap, low-cost carriers. Let me give you an example of how that works. So, say you're going on a trip from Philadelphia to Amsterdam. Now, you also want to visit Copenhagen and also London while you're there. You use points on the expensive route between Philly and Amsterdam, and then while you're there, you use those low-cost carriers to get you over to Copenhagen and then London. Now coming back, you use the points on the expensive route, London back to Philadelphia. So if you used cash on all these flights and only booked with mainline carriers, this would set you back $3,561. Now, let's see how points and miles can change that on the long distance flights. It would be a total of $211. And let's say an extra $30 for that checked bag, bringing the total to $261. So using points for the long flights, it would cost you between 19,000 and 54,000 points from Philly to Amsterdam. Unlike most people, I'll keep it real with you and let you know those flights are going to have some taxes and fees, probably $5.60, all the way up to a couple hundred if you're going to fly business class. So keep that in mind. So for the flight out there from Philly to Amsterdam, it's going to cost you $5.60. And on that flight back from London to Philadelphia, it's going to be a little more expensive. It's going to cost you $191 in taxes and fees. So when this is all said and done, you're going to save about $3,000 in cash by using points and miles to book this itinerary. So if you watched my airline loyalty series, you are familiar with airline loyalty programs. And now that can come in handy because sometimes booking with an airline partner over booking direct can save you a ton of miles. Let's get into an example. Now, I'm based out of Philadelphia, so let's use an American Airlines hub out of Philadelphia as an example. So if you were to fly from Philadelphia to Miami on American Airlines, that would cost you approximately 9,000 miles. However, if you booked with Alaska, it would only cost you 7,500 miles. Yeah, I know, only 1,500 miles, not a big deal, but when you fly in premium cabins, this is when you can really save some points. So for example, that same route in business class is going to cost you 29,000 points flying American Airlines, while it's only going to cost you 14,500 miles when you book with Alaska Airlines. That's a 100% increase booking between Alaska and booking with American. So make sure you do your research so you can save some hard-earned points. Another great option for using points and miles is booking with cash in an economy cabin and then upgrading to premium economy or first class. Now, let me tell you how that works. So for example, on a long-haul flight traveling between Europe and the US on American Airlines, you can upgrade from economy to premium economy for 25,000 miles and $350, which isn't that bad of a deal. Let's talk about upgrading to business class. you can upgrade to business class for 25,000 miles and $550, which is actually a really great value for your miles. Let's talk about an airline other than American Airlines. Let's use Emirates, for example. On Emirates, you can upgrade from Economy Flex to business class for 50,700 miles on the flight between Newark and Athens, which is a Fifth Freedom route, which is awesome because you get to fly an overseas carrier on a US route. It's actually very cool. On a flight from LA to Dubai, a longer route, you can upgrade from economy to premium economy for 106,000 miles, which for a 15-hour flight isn't that bad, but 100,000 miles is stretching it a little bit. Another cool option to use points is something that a lot of people don't think about, including me. Hotel chains such as Marriott, IHG, Hilton, and Hyatt all have all-inclusive properties which are surprisingly bookable with points. Let's talk about it. So if you were to go to Cancun and stay at the Marriott in Cancun, that's an all-inclusive property and it's bookable using points and miles. With Marriott, you get the 5th night free perk, so using miles actually makes sense here. So the cash value of 5 nights there would be $3,520. That's a lot of money. Let's see if we can get it for cheaper using points and miles. If you were to book that room with points and miles using Marriott miles, it would cost you 288,000 miles. And that doesn't seem like a great redemption, but when you factor in that Marriott points are only worth between 0.7 and 0.9 cents a pop, it makes sense because that evaluation comes out to 1.5 cents per point. So it's actually a good deal. Now let's talk about a booking not to do. The Hilton is an all-inclusive property in the Dominican Republic. Now, coming in at $2,278 for 5 nights or 676,000 Hilton points. Now, if I did this redemption, it would be valued at 0.34 cents per point, which is absolutely abysmal and you do not want to do that. Now, Hilton points are worth less than others at 0.5 cents per point, but still, coming in at 0.25 cents is just not good at all. Now, after that bad redemption, let's talk about another good one. And let's talk about Hyatt here. They have Breathless Resort in Cancun, which I've actually stayed at, and it's an awesome resort. So if you were to use Hyatt points, it would cost you 145,000 Hyatt points to stay there for the entire week, or $600 or $3,000 for the entire week. Using this redemption, you would get 2.07 cents per point, which is great value. Now, let me piggyback off my last example. Say you only had 200,000 Marriott points, but you still wanted to use points and miles to pay for a trip. You're in luck, because Marriott actually lets you use cash and miles to book your trip. So with the same redemption, you could actually use their cash and points option at 176,000 points and $1,150. Surprisingly, you would get a redemption of 1.35 cents here and not have to use that many points, which makes it worth it in the long run. So enough with hotels, let's talk about airlines. And United Airlines also offers this option. So say you only have 30,000 miles, but the flight is 50,000 miles. You could use those 30,000 miles and then pay the extra 20,000 miles you don't have with cash. So it makes sense if you're just a little bit short and need to top up. Now, the last creative way to use points and miles doesn't really even have to do with points at all. But I wanted to throw it out there because it's actually a really creative way that you can get flights for cheap. I would err on the side of caution using this because airlines do not like when you use this or people talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it anyways. So let's get creative here. Say you need to get home from Barcelona to Dallas, that one-way flight on July 18th is going to cost you $1,480. However, if you check for a round-trip flight that you aren't going to return on, it drops it down to $841, almost half off on that original flight. Now, let's try another example. Maybe that was just a one-off. Say you need to get from Madrid to Miami on the same dates with a one-way flight. That's going to cost you $1,222. But if you book that same flight with a round-trip itinerary, it's going to drop it down to $981. Not that big of a difference, only $150, but still, that $150 saved is something you don't have to spend your money on. This last hack, I must really caution you to be careful with, because if the airlines catch you, they do have the right to put you on the no-fly list with their airline, and they have done it before. So make sure you do use this hack sparingly. And with that, 8 creative ways to use credit card points and miles wraps up. I hope you learned a new trick that you didn't know before. Did I miss any hacks that you want me to cover? Let me know in the comments below. If I get enough of those comments, I can definitely combine them all and make another video diving into those. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to reach out to Rindone Travel for all your travel needs and bookings.